Hi, welcome back to MIG. This is my second video describing the plan for the voyage and discussing in this video about the boat. As I mentioned in the last video, we left the last boat we had, Wandering Dolphin. It was a Gary Mull designed aluminum cutter that was a performance cruiser, without a doubt. And it spoiled us. We got used to basically being able to sail to windward at our own discretion without any difficulty. I did change to a boat that is quite different from that. The boat that I chose to circumnavigate in is sailing vessel MIG. She's a North Sea 27, 1977. And if you know anything about North Sea 27s, you know that they're designed by Lyle Hess. He also designed the boats that are famous from the parties, Seraphin and Tailsin. Those boats are basically the big sisters of the North Sea 27. North Sea 27, Lyle Hess was approached and asked to design a boat that could be trailered and still an offshore sailboat. One that you could sail anywhere you want to go and still come home safely. But put it on a truck and a trailer and take it somewhere else. It isn't a trailer sailor in the sense that a lot of trailerable sailboats are. It isn't an easy boat to drop the mast and then launch. You wouldn't want to do it every day. You wouldn't want to take it down to the harbor, put it in the water, raise the mast, and then go sailing, and then that evening put it back on the trailer and lower the mast. I'm sure there are probably people that have done that, but it certainly is not easy. So why did I choose a North Sea 27? That's a complicated question. But the answer really is, I've loved them since I was young. The look of the boat is very salty. They have a very good reputation. And I don't know, there's something about that little boat, the look, that has always been an attraction to me. I can't explain all of it. Once you see her, maybe you'll understand. But I decided that was the boat I wanted because it's also small enough that I can handle it by myself if I have to. A crew of two is wonderful on a North Sea. Easy to handle all of the sails, all of the work. I chose a small boat, and I'm simplifying everything on this boat to make it easy to sail and low maintenance. That's my big goal after living on Wandering Dolphin for all those years. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit, about what I've done, less maintenance intensive. I like the idea that two people on a North Sea 27, two people can comfortably live on this boat with one in the aft cabin, have their own space, their own place to store all their stuff and get away from the other person. Even though it's only a 27-foot boat, two people can get away from each other if they want to. So yeah, I've got it optimized to where I can basically live in the forward cabin with a lee cloth for my offshore bunk, and then my sailing partner, whoever it is on each voyage, can have the aft cabin completely to themselves. Obviously, both areas are shared. There will be shared stuff in the aft cabin as far as storage for certain things. But for the most part, that cabin is that crew person's place. The other reason I chose a North Sea 27 was the idea of its trailer ability appealed to me. The ability to be on the East Coast and take it to the West Coast if you choose, or vice versa. All you have to do is put it on a trailer and then truck it across. It's very simple, and I don't know if I'll ever do that, but I've already trucked it up from Eureka to here. We sailed it from Alameda to Eureka, and then we trucked it up here on the trailer. So yeah, works great with the trailer. It trailers very nicely. It's not an easy boat to put in and out of the water. As a matter of fact, when I'm done with the refit and I put it in the water here pretty soon, I'm going to just take it to the boat yard and have them lift it with the travel lift and put it in the water, rather than trying to back it in, or even to use a crane, a small crane to put it in, which I could probably do that. But I'm just going to pay the travel lift to put it in. One of the things I learned from living on and raising my whole family on a sailboat was that people can get used to the space that they have much quicker than they actually believe. And comfort is kind of a subjective term. People think they need a lot of space to be comfortable. You don't. There are a few things you absolutely do need. You need a dedicated berth for everybody on the boat. That's an important thing. People can't be comfortable if they don't have a space that they can relax in, that's their own. And as I said in the last video, North Sea 27s are kind of unique in that for such a small boat, because they have the aft cabin and the forward cabin. Well, not all North Sea 27s. There are aft cockpit versions that don't, but the one I chose, the aft cockpit, or the aft cabin version, center cockpit version of the North Sea 27. It's one of the great things about it. So this boat had a diesel engine in it, and my extensive experience on sailboats, the majority of the time that I had to work on Wandering Dolphin, it was because of the engine, in one way or another. It was something related to the engine. You get used to having an engine, so you rely on an engine. You instead of sailing on a certain day, you motor, where you would normally not even leave the harbor that day because there's no wind. You choose to leave anyway because you can motor. You use the motor to you use the motor even to sail when there is wind, to go where you want to go. I can't count how many times I've taken people out on a learn to sail situation, and they are destination bound. They want to go to this spot and they want to get there as quickly as possible, and so they pinch the boat up into the wind and then turn on the motor to help them make that course, rather than just falling off and then tacking later and taking, instead of 4 hours to get somewhere, you take all day. Or you may not even get to that destination that night. You may anchor out in a different harbor. And again, I'm not saying that people that do that they shouldn't. That's up to them. If they choose to, that's their choice, and that's okay. Please understand, I'm not making a judgment call on that. But I am saying, for me and for my family, that was something we chose not to do. We chose to sail our sailboat. So the first thing I did on this boat was I got rid of the diesel engine. Oh man, there are going to be people just right now, all 4 people probably that have subscribed are going to be attacking me and saying, hey, what do you mean? You got rid of a diesel engine? I did. I got rid of my diesel engine. It wasn't in great shape anyway, but that wasn't why I got rid of it. I got rid of it because I didn't want to deal with the diesel. I didn't want to deal with the tank. I didn't want to deal with the filters. I didn't want to deal with everything that breaks on a diesel engine all the time. I didn't want to have one on the boat. So, however, I did want to be able to motor into a marina, for example. If I have to motor into in a marina, I'm okay with that. A lot of marinas don't even let you sail up to the dock. Although most of the time I anchor out, there are times you need to go into a marina or a haul out slip, and having an engine of some sort to do that. I'm not anti-engine. I just don't want to deal with one as a main source of propulsion on my boat. So instead of I had a couple of options with a small boat like this. I could have put a outboard off the back that lowers down, and then I could have used that to go in and out of harbors. But instead, I put in an electric engine. I got an electric yacht engine, and I installed it in the place of the diesel engine. And I've got 8 battle-borne batteries for the 48-volt bank for the engine. Lithium phosphate batteries. They're not lithium ion batteries. They're lithium phosphate batteries. And basically with the setup that I have now, I can motor for a couple of hours at a time at half speed. I can motor at full speed for maybe a half hour is all, which is plenty for me. Or when the sun is shining and I'm out in the middle of the doldrums and I'm just wallowing around, I can actually turn on the engine and motor at about 2 knots all day long under the sun. But that was my choice, and my choice was to do that not because I believe that everybody should have an electric engine on their sailboat. Again, there are people that choose to remove engines completely from their boat. That was something I considered as well. But I kind of like having an engine to get in and out of marinas and even harbors sometimes. Although usually I sail off the anchor and I sail up to the anchor. There may be times with my little electric engine that I choose to do that. But if I wanted to spend a lot of time going up intercoastal waterway and stuff like that, I wouldn't recommend an electric engine, even though Rigging Doctor, those guys are doing that all now, and they're showing that it can be done. Even though sailing vessel Uma went way north to Svalbard and everything with their electric engine, that isn't what I'm choosing to do. I specifically have the intention of sailing in the tropics around the world, other than going around the Cape of Africa. At that time, that'll be some good videos, because I know I'm gonna have to sail when there are times that I wish I was probably motoring. I'm gonna have to choose weather windows, where in that case you would often choose a window that you can motor to the next destination. I won't be able to do that, so I'm gonna have to be a little more selective as to which weather windows I choose in those situations. But keep in mind that my intention is not to go to high latitude sailing. It's to sail in the milk run around the world and the trade winds, and that's why I got rid of my diesel engine. And the other thing that I did with this boat is I gutted all the old electric. It's a 1977 boat, so I pulled all of the wires out of the entire boat. I completely gutted it, and I installed a new electrical system myself. So there's a lot on the electrical that I'll go over. It was a wonderful experience, actually, and the truth is, everything that I've done on this boat, I've done it all, and so I can repair it all. I can fix it, even though my whole goal was to beat the system. I'm not an idiot. I lived on a boat for a long time. I've sailed offshore about 100,000 offshore miles, so I know what I'm talking about. But I really still tried to make this boat as maintenance-free as possible. And I know you can't do that. There's going to be stuff that I didn't even think about that's going to break, and I'm going to go, yep, there it is. That's the one thing I didn't do, and it's going to break. Another thing that I changed on this boat, North Seas originally had this design with the forward V-berth here and a seat that folded down and you could make a V-berth, but in compromise for that, the little settee right here was super small. You couldn't sit at the nav station if you're as big as I am. You couldn't sit at the nav station without actually hitting the nav station. Very uncomfortable. Certainly not a spot that you would want to sit back and relax in. And so I have eliminated the V-berth. I don't even have a V-berth. I'm not going to use a V-berth. Later in the 90s, they changed the design. They had two long settees on each side and a table in the middle that came down, and then a larger sail locker and chain locker. So basically everything beyond this is now my sail locker. The chain locker's still up in there. Oh, let me turn on the light here. Oh, I've turned it off. Never mind. So I've changed it, and I have not finished the cushions yet, but I cut out the foam. So what I've done is I've made this area a very comfortable, let me show you, a very comfortable, basically, couch area. Don't buy a couch, Uma said. Sailing vessel Uma, I like those guys. So now it's a very large area. The other thing that I did is I changed the navigation station. On the old ones, they had the navigation station was at an angle, and like a drafting table, the old style. Because with paper charts, that worked really well. You could lay out your paper charts, and also because it was at an angle, you could have a pretty large platform to lay out your charts. As soon as you bring that down, it moves this way, so it would be difficult. You couldn't have done it with the seats the way they used to be. You couldn't have actually even got into it with it down flat. But I changed that. I redesigned the nav station, dropped it down into a table. It does have still a little bit of an incline, not much, but a little bit, just to help keep stuff on the table. I made a really nice little navigation station and an area for all of the radios and that stuff. That's another thing that I did. The newer North Sea 27s made in the 90s, they came up with the idea to have the house battery banks in a box below the companionway, and this one didn't. It used to just have a longer companionway stair or ladder that came down, and so I built a battery box right there. It's not my idea. It's the same concept that they came up with for the boats that were built in the 90s, and I basically just copied it. So it may be a little bit different than those ones, but it's a perfect spot for the batteries, in my opinion, on this boat. And then I also added a Victron inverter charger, the 2000 compact inverter charger, which takes up a lot of room in the engine room. But I gained a lot of room by getting rid of the diesel engine, so I've got the space for it. And that allowed me to put in some outlets that now I can run some electrical devices that I couldn't before. So, for instance, I have a little air fryer. I have a convection cooktop as backup. They are not my main source of cooking on this boat. My main source is still my propane oven and propane cooktop. I also changed the refrigerator. The refrigerator was a ice box, had a big area in the back for ice. It wasn't very well insulated. I don't know if the way it was when I got this boat was the way it came from the factory. I kind of doubt it. The insulation, that factory insulation in the door and the sides of the refrigerator were very good, and in the back of the refrigerator along the hull, that was all good foam. But the top had no insulation at all. It was just the board that was above it, and the lid, the big lid on the top, was not insulated. It did have weather stripping around it, but no insulation. And of course, the weather stripping on the door, because it was an old boat, was the front door. So it has a top, and it has an opening front door, which I like. I know that you lose a lot of cool air when you open that, but it is very handy. But it needed new weather stripping, etc. So what I've done there is I've had a guy, McLean is his name, Frostline Marine. It's that guy is amazing. If you guys are looking for a custom designed refrigerator for your boat, I highly recommend them. I will post a contact number in the posting of this video so that you can get a hold of him if you want a custom designed refrigerator for your boat. I highly recommend him, especially if you're in the Pacific Northwest. He'll come to you and he'll take the measurements and he'll build you a refrigerator that will amaze you. So I did that. He came and he designed a refrigerator there's a whole video I'm going to do on the refrigeration, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. But I want to say that the efficiency of this new refrigerator, after I insulated all the parts that I was just talking about, is just amazing. The low draw compared to the other refrigerators that I've had on other boats or seen on other boats. Very, very professional, amazing job, and I highly recommend him. So thank you very much. I hope you come along. I hope you continue to watch these videos. Tell your friends, like, subscribe, and follow, and make comments. Let me know what you think of the video quality and what you'd like me to do to change things. I'm not a photographer. I'm not a videographer. But hey, I'll get better as I go. All right. Thanks for watching. Hope you join me next time.